action figure enthusiasts out there. JC here with another TNINews video. Now, we've got a lot to cover today, and we're going to start off with some pretty bad news that has hit the industry this week. Not just the toy industry, but the comic book industry as well. And you've probably already heard at least inklings of what's been going on, but if you haven't, essentially there have been major layoffs going on in the world of DC Comics, both in the publishing end of things. There were a lot of layoffs there, and then for action figures, news came out this week that DC Collectible / DC Direct has been completely shut down. They're basically, that company is no longer going to go forward, which is, very, for those of us who collect action figures, that's just heart-wrenching news to hear. They've been essentially the in-house manufacturer for DC Comics for statues and action figures and things like that. For 20 plus years, they've been making stuff as long as I've been covering this stuff. And I've worked with a lot of different toy companies over the years, and some are better than others to work with. Some are more open with communications and getting news out and things like that. And DC Collectibles, while not perfect in any way, it's always been, in my view, a great company to work with, to cover their stuff. Jim Fletcher, who is the main face of DC Collectibles, he's always been very passionate about the products that he makes. I know you guys have seen a lot of interviews, on YouTube and stuff with him. So he's basically every interaction I've had with him personally. What you see on camera in those interviews and stuff is really how he is in real life. So it's not like just an act or what have you. So, very sad to hear about DC Collectible / DC Direct, and really all the other layoffs that we're hearing that's going on. Now, I don't have my hand in the publishing end of things. I don't cover DC Comics on any kind of regular basis, the actual comic books. Word is that Bob Harris, the editor-in-chief, has been laid off, as well as much of the upper management at DC Comics. In fact, the only name I've heard really kind of survived is Jim Lee himself. So, and again, I don't follow the comics well enough to know exactly what's going on there, but definitely it looks like a major restructuring. Now, some people seem to think that they're going to completely shut down DC Comics and maybe even sell off the DC Comic library to somebody like, say, Disney. I would probably say that's not likely, just my own feeling. There's still, even though I don't think like the DC comic movies have performed as well as the corporations, and if you're not familiar with DC Comics and the corporate structure there, so first of all, DC Comics years ago, I forget what year it was, but years ago was bought out by Warner Brothers, Time Warner. So they've been owned by Warner Brothers for many years. But then back here in 2018, AT&T actually bought Time Warner. So now DC Comics is essentially owned by AT&T. So, and since then, since AT&T bought Time Warner, from what I've heard, there's been a lot of restructuring. And again, I've mostly followed things going along with DC Collectibles / DC Direct. But there's definitely, in the past year or so, there's been a lot of restructuring there. And, people like Jim Fletcher always seem to put a happy face on it, or at least tried to. But my impression was not anything that he specifically told me, but just my impression, my observations was that maybe it wasn't as good as he tried to make it seem like. Obviously now it seems much more that way, but and I guess that's to say that I'm not. While I don't know if people like Jim Fletcher knew the axe was coming down this week, if it was totally unexpected, or at least as far as it being happening this week. I have to kind of feel like that maybe they could see this coming, that the writing was on the wall for some time. That doesn't make it any easier. I've personally been laid off in a job, back before I started these sites. Going back 20 years, I used to work in the financial industry as a loan officer at credit unions. I started out, first out of college, I worked at a large corporate, or not corporation, but the largest credit union essentially in the world. And then I went to a smaller credit union because I really didn't like that kind of while technically not a corporation, it was very much run with that kind of corporate environment. So I didn't really like that. And I went to a smaller credit union where I felt like I would have more challenges, more responsibilities, and, you know, be able to further my career more there. However, things didn't work out great. Worked there for about a year and a half, and essentially that credit union ended up having to do layoffs. And being one of the newest employees there, I was one of the first people to get their job cut. So just, you know, coming into work, you know, and for me it was a Friday, and just sitting down at my desk and then having your boss come up and basically tell you, you know, you need to pack up your desk, or they called you into their office and told you were being let go and stuff. But it's a horrible feeling, especially when it's completely unexpected. So I kind of hope that, you know, people like Jim at least kind of knew this was coming, and so maybe could start preparing for that. I don't know, but and I don't even know 100%. Whether I have not personally talked to him and have not seen anything officially saying that Jim has been let go from DC, but I would suspect with everything that's going on that he has. But, you know, and definitely there are people losing their jobs with everything that's been going on this week. So it's never great to see. You know, it's a horrible feeling when it happens to you. But I have every hope and feeling that if Jim has been let go from DC completely, that he will land on his feet, and as well as other people that work within the company. Jim is really the one as far as DC goes, that I've worked with personally the most, but, you know, there are other great people within that company, other great sculptors and things like that, and they've just made a lot of great products over the years. Not everything they've done is great. You know, I won't say by any means they're a perfect company, but they've always been a pleasure to work with. They've always tried to keep lines of communication open. They've always, you know, when there's been a problem with their products, they seem generally interested in trying to fix it. So, you know, sometimes your hands are tied with these things, especially when you're part of a large corporation. But you know, really, you know, DC Collectibles, I've always felt to be a really good company to work with, as far as my end of things, where I'm covering the stuff for the news and stuff. So very sad indeed. Now, as far as product goes for DC Direct stuff, so yesterday we put up on TNI a list of things that I've been able to 100% confirm are still coming from DC Direct. A lot of those new adventure animated series 6-inch figures and the deceased figures are still coming, and mainly that's because they have already started shipping out to retailers. So, you know, expect them to be in stock soon at places like our sponsor Big Bad Toy Store. However, since then, I've actually gotten pretty good indication, not 100% confirmed, so I'm still waiting on that final confirmation, but I'm getting pretty good indications that would suggest that everything that has been solicited by DC Direct this year for 2020 will still be released. So, you know, hopefully that includes all the new adventure figures, including the, you know, the Batman Who Laughs and the Catwoman and the Vampire Batman and other things as well. So, again, I don't have that 100% confirmed at this time, but I am getting pretty good indications that would suggest that pretty much everything that's been solicited from DC Direct this year so far for 2020 will still see release. Okay, so now that we've gotten the bad news out of the way, let's get into some fairly good news. So coming on the NECA front, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans. So last news video, you know, I had filmed it before the Super Strider went up for pre-order. On the NECA website. This is the Walmart exclusive figure, but NECA was doing handling the online orders for it, and then it will be available, I believe, starting next week at physical Walmart stores. But I'd ask you guys, you know, to chime in if you tried to get it online, what your experience was, and I heard from a lot of you. And it certainly wasn't a perfect buying experience. NECA's website continued to have be pretty glitchy. People were getting stuck when they would try and check out. The button wouldn't take them through. Apparently, there were some tricks that people had learned, like if you add it to your cart, you know, the item to your cart, and then you open up a second browser window and then go straight to your cart, you would actually have a better chance of being able to check out. But at the end of the day, while not perfect in any means, I saw quite a few real people that I know that are real, that were able to actually buy the figure and get their hands on it. and that is at least an improvement over what we've seen when Target themselves handle these online orders and Walmart themselves, where the scalper bots get a hold of them in like less than 3 seconds, and you're not even able to put the thing in your cart before it says sold out. Now, the other day when they were doing this, it was like it would come in stock and then go out of stock and come in stock and go out of stock. And I think in large part that's because, they were actually having to manually go in and take orders that they had basically dubbed as being, false orders from scalper bots or scalpers, and canceling those and putting them back in so that an actual collector could come along and actually buy it. Now, I've not heard, in previous times that NECA has been doing this, once they started implementing things to try and dissuade the scalper bots, I had heard that some people legitimate people had their orders canceled. And then NECA actually went back and contacted those people and reinstated their orders, which I thought was cool. But I've not heard if anyone this time around had issues where like they actually ordered it but then had their order canceled because NECA had deemed them to be a scalper or what have you. So I haven't heard anything along those lines. And like I said, it wasn't by any means a perfect experience. The figure was probably not available for less, it was less than an hour, but it was still better than like the 3 seconds that we've been seeing with the scalper bot. So, I think they still have some more work to do. The site seems to struggle when it gets hit with all that traffic at one time. I've had that experience personally when we have coverage for like events like San Diego and we're breaking news and everybody comes flooding to the site at the same time. That tends to bog down the servers. It can be difficult to deal with, but hopefully, as this goes along, NECA will continue to improve things. So, like I said, not perfect, but my hat's off to them for at least trying and making some improvements. Now, one thing I will say that was I thought was crazy was shipping costs on the figure. So like I did a test run. I had it in my cart. I got to the final checkout to the shipping, and it told me $22 to ship the figure. And I assume they ship these from the West Coast because I know NECA's headquartered in New Jersey, and it shouldn't cost that much to ship from New Jersey to where I live, which is on the East Coast. But still $22 for shipping is almost as much as the figure itself. And so I wasn't really that interested in getting the figure. I don't really collect the movie stuff. I was just testing it to see how smooth it was to actually be able to buy the figure. And I ended up just emptying it out of my cart because I definitely wasn't going to pay that much for shipping. If it was one of the Target exclusives, like the Metalhead figure, I probably would have gone forward and gone on and paid the shipping reluctantly, but definitely because I'm just not much into the movie figures myself personally, I wasn't going to pay that much for shipping. So it'd be nice if they could give us some alternatives in the shipping realm and make that a little bit cheaper. But still, again, my hat's off to them for at least making strides of improving these things. And as I talked about in the last video, NECA's been hinting that with the Target stuff, they are like the Metalhead, when they restock it, they're looking to do some type of pre-order. Still no specific details on that, but I'm hopeful that they will continue to try and make this stuff easier to get. Because right now, I continue to say for I would say, and this is kind of a random number I'm pulling out, but just a large number, maybe 90%, I don't know, but a large number of collectors, just this line continues to be very uncollectible. So hopefully that will continue to improve as time goes on. Now for the movie line, NECA yesterday announced that they are doing another figure for the movie line, and this time it was for April O'Neil. So they are basing this April on the actress Judith Hoag. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. They actually had her on their Instagram. She's actually kind of being involved in the actual production of the figure. She's going to be doing stuff on her own YouTube channel where she kind of shows off, at various stages of the production of the figure. We haven't actually seen the figure yet, but they announced it yesterday that they are doing April O'Neil from, I believe it's the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. I think they switched up April. That's what some of you guys have been telling me. I had forgotten that they actually had more than one April in those movies, but I believe this was the original April in the first movie, and they're doing a figure based on her. Now, as I understand it, they're gonna, with the April figure, they're gonna follow the same model that they did with the Toka and Raza figure 2-pack, where they put it up for pre-order, and I believe that means that it's going to be done as a made to order. So you won't, they'll give you a week to pre-order it, and you won't have to worry about it selling out. They'll essentially just make as many as they get the orders for. So that means that you won't have, if you want the figure, you will be able to get it. You won't have to worry about fighting the scalper bots or having to hunt around every day going to Walmart or Target to get this figure. Now, I don't know if that means it's only going to be available online. I assume that's what it means, but I don't know that 100%. The specific details on the pre-order have not really been revealed yet. Those will be coming in the coming days. But the indications are that they are going to follow the same model that they did with the Toka 2-pack. So, in my opinion, that's a good thing. Now, this had me thinking. There's nothing they said yesterday, but this had me thinking. I think I talked about this previously, but with the Casey Jones figure that was in the recent 2-pack with Raphael in Disguise, it only has the masked head sculpt. But in an interview that Randy Falk did with Pixel Dan, he actually indicated that they had sculpted an unmasked head sculpt, but that they weren't able to secure the actor's likeness to be able to release that unmasked head sculpt in that 2-pack. However, later on, after the 2-pack started to see release, the actor took to social media and said he had had a change of heart and was open to the idea of having his likeness used on an action figure. Now, NECA then responded to folks telling people that they still had not negotiated anything specific with the actor. There's going to be money that changes hands, and so I'm sure all that has to be hammered out. But now that the actual actor is open to the idea, that would indicate to me at least that there's a very good possibility that down the road we'll get another Casey Jones figure with the unmasked head sculpt. And so what better way to do an unmasked Casey Jones than include him with an April O'Neil figure? So I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they maybe do that, release April, maybe they'll do a single release of April and then a 2-pack, I don't know. But I definitely could foresee a good way of, if they wanted to give us and able to give us the unmasked Casey Jones, doing it in the 2-pack with April O'Neil. Okay, and then finally I have some Transformer news for you guys. So first of all, Super 7 has announced a new reaction figure for their Transformer line, and it's Devastator, which I actually think is kind of cool. He doesn't transform, he doesn't combine or anything, but he is taller than the normal reaction figures. He's said to be about 6 inches tall, so he will stand taller than your other Transformer reaction figures. And overall, he looks pretty cool. If you're a Devastator fan, you probably want to check that one out. It is going up for pre-order today on the Super 7 website. I assume places like our sponsor, Big Bad Toy Store, will also offer it, as they carry most of those reaction figures. But again, that will be going up for pre-order today. And then it was announced here that Hasbro is going to be doing some Transformer reveals every Tuesday. They started this past Tuesday, and they will be doing 4 more Tuesdays of reveals. These are essentially fan channel type reveals, kind of like we've been seeing with them do with the Marvel every first Monday of the month. So this week they announced a character called Hot House, and I swear to God I crack up every time I say that name. Apparently he's based on a character from the Zone comics. He is a repaint of the Earthrise Airwave with G2 type or G1 Micromaster type colors. So I don't know, I'm not familiar with the Zone Comics character or what have you, but like I said, every time I hear that name, Hot House, look out, here comes Hot House. I guess it's better than Outhouse, but it's definitely kind of a funny name to me. But that was yesterday's reveal for Transformers, and then like I said, they've announced at least they're going to be doing 4 more reveals every Tuesday, so next Tuesday will be the next reveal. And I expect these are going to be mostly, again, kind of like repaint fan channel type online exclusives that they're doing for the Transformer line. Now, while we're on the subject of Hasbro reveals, we've got, I mentioned this in the last video, but this coming Friday, we've got, they're going to be doing one of their live stream events for the Power Rangers brand. So expecting to get some Lightning Collection reveals and stuff this Friday. Next Friday is going to be a Star Wars reveal. Again, I mentioned this in the last video. I believe they're going to announce whatever their HasLab project for this year for Star Wars. You know, they did the Marvel one with the Sentinel, but they are also doing a Star Wars project for HasLab. So we will likely get those details next Friday. And then just announced, thanks to the heads up from Hasbro's Marvel brand team member Dan Young, he kind of teased this on his own Twitter account. This coming Tuesday, there's going to be a Marvel Legends reveal. Now, I don't have specific details of whether this will be a full-on live stream type video or if this will be more in keeping with the first Monday of every month type reveal, where we just get the images and whatever it is that's revealed goes up for pre-order. I don't know if I know everything that's going to be revealed, but I do know one of the main focuses is going to be something that they started to kind of tease at Toy Fair. One of the final things that they kind of started to show off at Toy Fair back in February, where we should get the full reveal of that this coming Tuesday. Whether there's anything else, I don't know. I would love them. I really hope they reveal that rumored Marvel Legend Silver Centurion Iron Man figure, which is supposed to be a Walgreens exclusive. That is a figure that, you know, again, it's only rumor at this time, but I definitely excited for that one and would love to go on and see what that figure is going to look like. So, but definitely mark your calendars for Tuesday, whatever it is, however they reveal it. We'll have coverage up on Marvelous News, so be sure to check it out on Tuesday to see what they show us. Okay, so that's it for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I talked about in the comment section below. Don't forget, I've got that contest going where I'm giving away a $100 store credit to Big Bad Toy Store here on YouTube. I also have the two other contests on both Marvelous News and Toy News International, where we give additional store credits to Big Bad Toy Store for $100. So you've got 3 ways to win. Links to all those contest details are in the video description below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the bell notification, and until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.